Welcome to episode 124 of the Oklahoma Real Estate Show. On today's show, Cherami Thomas, a mastermind and developer and business entrepreneurial in Oklahoma City. She's done various projects, including some of you may remember the Urban Farmhouse designs, which was multiple city blocks downtown in Oklahoma City. It was a furniture store, it was a candle factory, it was a lumber yard, it was an experience, it was a clothing store, all wrapped up into one. And she's done Airbnb, she's done investment real estate, and she's here today to talk about what Oklahoma City really is about and how to do business in Oklahoma City, how to design things in Oklahoma City, and talk a little bit about her new project, which is a new line of scent, a new line of candles, fragrance line, that's really turning some heads in the real estate because, as we're dubbing, if it sells well when it smells well.
Right.
So we'll be talking about that. So thanks for coming on the show today. If somebody in Central Oklahoma hasn't heard of you, which very few people haven't, tell us a brief synopsis of kind of how you got your start. Who are you? And
Well, I have been a designer my entire life. I went to OU, interior design, and ended up moving to Arkansas actually for a little bit with my husband and the kiddos. And so I actually started doing design there. That's really where I got my start was in Arkansas. Moved back here, ended up getting into real estate, selling real estate. So I've kind of done a little bit of everything. When we were in Arkansas, my husband was a home builder. So I did all the design.
this was around 2006?
2006 to about 2009, right around in there. Of course, the big bust hit. And so
Sure.
it was a complete mess. So we no longer do that, obviously. But we were building probably about 250 houses a year at the very end. Yeah. So we were building a lot of houses. I did all the design work, picked out all the paint colors, did all of that, and then also did the real estate for it. So, yeah. I mean,
The sales.
yeah. Listed all of them and did that. Obviously, there were so many homes that we had a whole entire team that helped. There were a lot of people that sat in the open houses and did all that. So, I mean, it wasn't just me selling them.
So you were doing the sales and development portion of the new construction,
Absolutely.
and 250 homes a year.
It was a lot. Yeah.
That's extreme
And
volume.
we had about 3 neighborhoods, and it was in Northwest Arkansas, which was it was booming. It was crazy there.
And he was from there, or what took you from
No.
So you met in college,
We met in college.
and then he had the idea to go.
Well, actually, how it started was a guy came to him in college and said, "Hey, I want to put you in F&I for David Stanley Chevrolet." And so Jason actually went straight from college into F&I, which is not a lot of people do. Usually you have to go sell cars and do all these things before you go into F&I. And he went straight into it, did great, and then was offered a job where he was helping run a dealership in Northwest Arkansas. So that's actually what took us there.
Gotcha.
And he was doing so well in that he met a lot of bankers and did a lot of things to get to the point to where they were confident in putting him into building. And so he started doing a few houses on the side, and they would sell before they were even, done. And it just went from there. I mean, Walmart and Tyson, JB Hunt, I mean, this is like the hub for them at that time. And Walmart got to the point to where they were requiring that someone live there in Northwest Arkansas for, like their different vendors.
Interesting.
So
then
that's why
you were able to provide the housing for these huge corporate headquarters.
Couldn't find homes. I mean, they were selling so fast.
Wow.
Yeah.
So roll into bunch of people got bad financing, and the financing bubble busts. 2008, you're left with a lot of inventory and no one buying them.
Yes. Yep.
Pick up that story.
So once that happened, obviously we had to end up going and filing bankruptcy. It was unfortunate, but we had to do it. And we were probably one of the last builders that did. We were right up there. I think at the time, we were probably second largest builder, JAT Builders. We lasted quite a bit through that. A lot of our friends and other people that were builders and they were doing the larger scale homes, they went down first, unfortunately. What happened was
So you were entry level priced.
Correct.
You had a product that could still weather a lot of.
We could weather the storm for quite a bit. We were, like I said, kind of one of the last ones. And what started happening was we had, of course, numerous banks that we had our construction loans and things with. We actually had one bank that closed down. So we couldn't even get anything from that bank. I mean, they literally closed down. And then the other banks basically started calling our notes, which I had no idea that you could call a note. I was, we were 28 years old and I was so naive. I was like, what do you mean they want all the money? They had other people that were defaulting on their loans. They wanted their money back. So even though we were still going, we were still selling homes, we were still doing what we were supposed to do.
You held up your end of the deal. Sure.
Right. They said, we want $1.3 million, within 30 days or whatever. Wow. And so banks started doing that kind of around to everybody. And so it just got to the point to where we couldn't come up with that type of money. We had to sit through, building the homes. And I bet at that time we had about 60 homes that the pads were laid. We just had the pads, the plumbing, it made no sense. So we had quite a few that were just framed. And I remember Jason going to the bank going, guys, I understand calling my note because you need the money or other people aren't, paying. However, I can finish these houses,
Here's a path to get your money back.
Right. Like here, we could do this. This makes no sense. If you don't finish these houses, they're framed, all the lumber is going to be ruined. I mean, what are you guys doing? It didn't make any sense, but that's what they chose to do.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you ended up having to file bankruptcy because you couldn't.
We could
come up with money, sure. And everybody at that point is going out of business. No one wants to, take over. So then, so what did you do next?
So after that, we ended up moving back to Oklahoma. My family's here, Jason's family's here. So it just made sense to come home. And we brought all of our kiddos and just basically started back over. And that's when we started back over. We ended up doing Urban Farmhouse design.
Which was 2009.
It was a little later. It was a couple of years after that. And so, we started up doing...
This was if I remember the story correctly.
In a garage.
You're in the garage. You're saving money for a car.
Yep. Yep.
And Jason came to you and said, instead of buying the car, I have an idea.
Want to buy some wood.
I want to buy some wood.
And I said, you're crazy. No way. We have to have another car. I mean, at this point, we have...
And you're selling homes trying to make ends meet in a very difficult market. And you tucked little pennies aside for this car. And he comes to you saying, we are not going to buy another car.
I want to buy wood.
We're going to buy this wood because I got an idea for a furniture line.
Yeah. Yeah. And he actually sees. So I said, okay, I trust you. We've been married for a while. Let's do this. And he actually started just selling the raw wood to a lot of people that just needed the wood. He had a really good connection. And then once we had the wood, he's like, hey, why don't we build a table with it? And I thought, you're crazy. I'm going to do this in the garage. And of course, then he wanted me to pick out paint colors and stain. And so here I am. I've got a table in the garage up on cinder blocks, mind you. And I'm sitting there hand painting it, and distressing it and doing all of that. So that's how Urban Farmhouse came about.
Which became the largest custom furniture store in the United States.
It's really cool. Yeah, we manufactured and customized everything. It would take, depending on what it was, we got to the point where it was like about 60, 90 days out for custom furniture because we got so busy. It was really, really neat. And we had our own signature.
So from the beginning of the cinder blocks, from the table and the cinder blocks to, I forget how many square foot your total facility was.
One was 28,000. One was 8,000. I think the other, the lumber company was like 50,000. It was really big. Our marketing
It's like
building.
2 city blocks or
Literally downtown. Yeah. Took over a couple blocks. It was like Urban Farmhouse still.
So from the beginning of Table on a Block to that, how many years did that take?
I'm going to say it about 2 years. And it's probably about, I mean, I guess in all reality, it is kind of fast.
But at the time, it probably felt
just
slow. A grind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're still working. He's working on the projects. He's building a customer.
I'm still doing
from scratch.
I'm still selling homes and doing real estate. And so I would do that, and then I would help with furniture and things on the side. And so basically, I was working 2 jobs in a way.
Yeah.
When I would get home in the evenings, I would do other things for him. And yeah, that's just kind of how it went. And we started getting so busy that he was like, I need you to leave your job, And I was like, oh, hell no. That was literally
We've done this before.
I was like, no. I mean, I'm supporting our whole entire family, making great money. I'm making 6 figures. Women don't always get to do that, right? And so I was like, no, this is my security blanket. Sure. And so I did. I trusted him again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you'd gone through the building and then lost everything and to have to trust again. Mm-hmm. You guys found a good synergy between y'all's relationship that ultimately was the secret recipe to the success of Urban Farmhouse.
Yeah.
You then went on to hire 50 employees, was it?
Oh, I think we ended up having 100 at one point in time. Whenever we had Dallas, yeah.
So Urban Farmhouse Designs was literally you were on the very beginning of the push of the Urban Farmhouse, the whole
right
when that really kicked off.
So
you rode that wave.
Yeah, fast. Chip and Joanna, Magnolia. I mean, actually, we were building the tables before that show ever came out. So Fixer Upper was not out at the time when we started this, but whenever it did come out, obviously it exploded our business. And the nice thing about being a designer is, and a lot of people don't realize this, but you just can sense the design trends years prior, right? So the funny thing is, a lot of people don't realize Urban Farmhouse Designs, I bought that name years before we even started Urban. And I remember buying the domain name, right? And I remember one day they called me, we were out of town, and they said, hey, your domain is getting ready to expire. Do you want to renew it? Because I had my phone on speaker, right? And my husband heard it. And I said, well, how much is it? They're like $15. And I was like, oh, I'm probably not ever going to use it. Why? And Jason goes, Shermy, it's $15. Just keep it. What if you ever want to do something with it? You know what the name was? Urban Farmhouse Designs.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. Urban Farmhouse Designs.
I get the promptings from GoDaddy. And that's so good. So,
but this was years before we even started, and years before we even built our first table. But as a designer, you see the trends, you see where it's going, and you can usually tell, and then it's like, after that, you're kind of going into the mid-mod, mid-century modern anyway, we go into different trends, and it's, for me, maybe not for other people, but I can see them coming from a mile away.
When you say you see them coming, is that something you're identifying through movies, or you're seeing in kind of trendy characters that are coming into a club?
It's a little bit of everything.
Is it just premonitions? I mean, when you say you're seeing it from a mile away,
there is a little bit of just knowingness in me, but I'm such
just
a visual.
This personally feels good to me. And I know that in the past, these things that have felt good to me have resonated with a lot of people.
Right. But you do look at, movies, and you're looking in magazines, and you're looking at a lot of different spaces. And when you're such a visual person, it's funny because my husband, it's like, I can walk into a room and I can walk right back out and I can tell you where everything's at. I mean, it's
very visual.
Extremely. And so you just look at so many different things, and you can just feel it, and you just kind of know it. It's like then the whole white, everything became white.
Right.
So, I mean, we just go into these trends, and that's just what design's all about.
Mm-hmm. You don't read the future, though. I mean, okay.
No.
And say, let's get together on the lottery tickets and that kind of thing. We could have a business.
That would be great.
So fast forward the tape. A lot of folks know that building is sitting there now.
Yes.
Maybe saying, yeah, that was a great furniture store, and we pass by it every day, and it's empty and it's vacant.
Yeah.
And kind of briefly give us an overview of why is it vacant? Why is it sitting there?
Well, in 2000, I guess it was December 2019, we ended up selling to Millennial Capital Group. It was a group, I think it was 5 or 6 guys. And we sold to them. I stayed on for a couple months. My husband stayed on, I think, for about 4 months afterwards, because he wanted to make sure that all of the custom furniture pieces that we took money for and we did a custom build for
to your customers.
He wanted to make sure
Pre-orders.
that stuff had gone through manufacturing and gotten to them.
Quality assurance.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we had people upset, basically saying that they didn't get their stuff and whatnot. And I guess it was blamed on us, saying that we didn't. Anyway, that's for another story. But bottom line is that we ended up selling, and they moved everything from a couple of buildings that we had over into one little small building, and just kind of completely changed Urban, if you will. And when they moved everything, they demolished the building. I mean, they took everything out. I was told that they took out toilets and HVAC on top of the roof. They pulled out the doors, everything, So all the stuff, I bet we renovated and probably put $500,000 in renovations in that place. It was really cool. People that still to this day say, "Oh my gosh, I remember Urban Farmhouse designs."
Yeah.
Had a lady yesterday call me, say the same thing. So,
well, that was so much your experience for Urban Farmhouse was built off of your dreams of going to Silver Dollar, if I remember correctly.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you remember this. Did I tell you that in the last podcast?
Yeah, we had to talk about that. But that was essentially the magic of it, was that you as a child had such an experience going through the Silver Dollar and seeing behind the scenes and the
watching candles being made. That was my thing. I remember sitting there, and they would dip the candles and they would cut them, and it was just so cool. And I loved the experience. And I thought, why can't we as adults,
correct.
We take kids for this experience. Why can't we as adults have
an experience?
Sure. And so that's where it came from. And I remember laying in bed one night, telling my husband, and this is when we had just made the first table, right? It's up on cinder blocks in our garage. And I said, how cool would it be to have an experience where there's glass and you can see guys working and making your tables while you're shopping?
I have these imaginations of Jason in a hot garage sweating with his shirt off, and you're watching him make this wood thinking he's so attractive, and then you want to put him in a box with the windows and have people pay to see him. Is that kind of...
that is it. You're correct.
Okay, and you did it. I mean, did it with 100 people, and we'll have that original video down below that you can see. They're working with the tools.
Manufacturing.
It's happening, and then you can stay in the air conditioned portion, and watch through this glass.
People walked in, and then they had this sense of smell because we had our custom scent, if you will, the Urban Farmhouse scent, and then people would just walk in, and I don't know. I mean, visually and your senses, we just look at everything. It's beautiful. You smell this yumminess, and it just I don't know, it overwhelms people sometimes. And they stay in there. We've had people stay in for hours.
Yeah.
Hours.
Well, there was so much. As we talk about,
there's a lot to look at.
100,000 square foot. Yeah.
There's a lot to look at.
But each detail, I mean, I remember you had this canoe that had as a light.
Yes, we turned into a light.
Airplane wing, you had turned into a light fixture.
Yeah.
I mean, this was it was like
crazy.
Julie's Crab Shack on steroids. I mean, just everywhere you looked, there was just some idea that you had come up with. So you're just
We had
really
a lot of people
flowing
come
in a
just
lot
for
of-
ideas. I had some people, they would walk in and say, listen, I can't afford this furniture, but I'm just coming. I just want to get ideas. And they would take pictures and do things. And,
Sure.
absolutely come in. We loved it because that was the purpose of it, was building an experience for people. And I think, that's, we had talked about earlier, investors, you can come here. It's kind of like an open canvas, or at least Oklahoma is. Open plains, you can come, bring your money and invest. But when you do, plan on building an experience, plan on building and doing something fun, because we have so many places here to do that. And we have so many opportunities to be able to build and create experiences for people.
Sure.
Really.
So I'll take us into that because that's a great
Yeah.
concept. So we talk about this concept of the canvas of a city that you build a development within. And I use the example of Orlando, where Orlando has the backdrop, of course, of Disney, Walt Disney, and all the characters. And then, of course, you have the weather of Florida.
Yeah.
You have the humidity. You have kind of the retirement vibe going on, and beautiful weather and beautiful people. And when you build a development within that, you're complementing what's going on there. Whereas when we take a town like Oklahoma City, which is hundreds of miles of rolling plains.
Yeah.
Arguably featureless rolling plains for hundreds of miles.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we do a development here, it is a blank canvas for every meaning of the word.
Absolutely.
Which means your challenge as a developer is to you've got to bring everything into that project.
Yeah.
You have to take the consumer from really neutral point to the entire experience. And I think that's why your campus being the size that it was, for one, you could do it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're in Miami, that facility would have been $300 million.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Literally. And, $250 million development, whereas here you're able to do it for pennies on the dollar and give somebody a start to finish whole large scale experience. And you saw that from start to finish, and you brought that whole experience in. And I think that's where you're arguably my favorite developer in Oklahoma because of you understood that so much that Jason, her husband, you guys were together. We're going to do this, and we realized we're going to have to do all
of it. Yeah. I mean, start to finish. I mean, the building was just, there were rats and stuff. It was
talk a little bit about the
good.
homeless, because let's just talk about this.
Yeah.
This has become,
Yeah.
Austin's dealing with this.
Yeah.
San Francisco's dealing with this. Homeless and mental health has become a real issue we talk about when we're developing subdivisions, when we're developing businesses. You went face in,
especially downtown,
to a downtown city block, and you were dealing with homeless people on a day-to-day basis. How did you run a business in the midst of that?
Let me tell you, in the beginning, it was really hard because we couldn't get them to leave, right? I mean, we now have got this big warehouse that we're trying to renovate, and they were just around everywhere. And honestly, a lot of people did not want to stop and pull in and come and shop because of it. So we knew we had to do a little something.
And they were telling you this, right? You were getting feedback.
Oh, absolutely.
They were saying, I'd love to come see your place,
but
I don't want to leave my car out.
Right, exactly. And I
do remember you talking about that. You would meet him at the car.
Jason would actually go,
which is a big guy.
car.
For those that don't know Jason, he's a big guy.
Well, he's a short, big guy. Yeah.
He's a big guy.
I mean, he's got a lot of muscle, actually.
He's a muscle guy.
And he would actually go out there and pick them up from their car and take them inside. Yeah. And then a lot of our little worker guys would help escort, women back out to their car. So, I mean, we were doing that for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you had to. I mean, we just really didn't have a choice. Now, Jason knew that we needed to kind of expand to be able to
control
it. We had to control our space.
Yeah.
So
Very
by getting buildings around, we were now able to control it. And so a lot of our employees, it would go back and forth. I mean, finally, we just got to the point to where...
Because they were sleeping and staying and squatting in some of the nearby structures.
Everywhere.
And instead of waiting
by
for
the
the
front
city
door.
to do something about it, you guys said, we're just going to control that
We're going to control it, right?
And then now that we're the property owner, we have full rights.
Correct.
And you could displace.
Yes, absolutely. And I will tell you this, you know, we hired a lot of people from the halfway house and things like that. And we were always wanting to help and do things for
in
people.
the right way.
In the right way, absolutely. And Jason has actually taken a few people off the street that were over there that were always just very kind and willing to help. Because what Jason would start to do is he's like, listen, if I'm nice to them and I'm not trying to be an ass, you know, and send them on their way, but give them something to do. So he would literally go, hey guys, I'll give you each $20 if you go around the campus and clean up and pick up trash and, you know, do all these things. And they did it because they wanted the money. I mean, right? And there were some that were just extra special and they really were just there to help. And Jason has taken a few of them off the street and actually put them into working for us, which is kind of crazy, no? But so yeah, that's ultimately what he did. He controlled the space, but he also gave them money, was nice to them, gave them jobs, and said, listen, if you want money, you need to work for it, you know? So
we were at the pinnacle point of that development, and you were on the rocket ship ready to go.
Yeah.
You got an opportunity from a local lender to leverage some of the assets you had and expand into Texas.
Yes. Yeah.
You began a project into Texas to have a second campus be started. And during that second campus launch, that's when your lender was basically indicted, from what I understand.
Well, there were some issues going on with it. I don't know if he was indicted of that. I don't know exactly what happened, I'll be honest with you, but things were not good at the bank that we were using. And I know that we were not going to get the rest of the loan or line of credit to finish out.
And you were about halfway through on the Dallas project?
I would say we were about half. It was finished. We just did not have the manufacturing. You know, of course, we did the same thing where you had the windows where you could see manufacturing and all of that. And we did not have that finished out. So we didn't have people hired. We didn't have the tools. We didn't have that type of stuff. Unfortunately, when you spread yourself thin like that and you go into other areas, you have to have the money to build it out and finish it and of course, buy inventory and all of that. And since we did not have that, unfortunately, we had to rob Peter to pay Paul, basically, and we were taking inventory and people and stuff from our Oklahoma City campus and trying to take it down there. So now we're spreading Oklahoma thin with its inventory and things like that because we're trying to put it in Dallas, you know, and it worked for a little while, but it just, you couldn't sustain doing that, honestly. I mean, it really had to have its own loan and put that to bed, right, and finish it. So unfortunately, it just didn't work out.
So the lender pulled out of his position right at a pivotal point, and you guys tried to keep it going?
We just didn't get the rest of we had a line of credit with the bank, but we just we weren't able to get the rest of what we needed that, from what I was told, we were supposed to be getting for it, and we didn't. And, you know, that's okay. Life works out the way it's supposed to. I don't really understand.
Right.
So things like
so that sounds like that's the second time in your life where a bank has critically changed the story for you. If you think about the Arkansas construction, right? You had 65 homes ready to be built. Your plan was successful. The banker came to you and said,
"Well,
we need the 1.2 back."
Yeah, they needed the money. They were calling the note. Yeah,
they're calling the note, and then boom, fast forward. We're expanding down to Dallas.
If you don't have the money, you're not. You can't finish your project. You know, your project. Unfortunately,
which you had self-funded up to that point.
Up to that
beauty, you had done all the building and infrastructure and bringing in.
We did that for years before we even had a line of credit from a bank.
So you'd self-funded, and the part that you were self-funding was doing really, really well. It's so interesting how that third-party financing with their agenda and their control came in and kind of muddied the water. I've started to see that kind of symptoms in a lot of investors that I've talked to that are doing the hard money lending loans and stuff.
Right.
Because the hard money loans, especially the ones that are single organizations or small organizations, they seem to be kind of out of the business element of it, and they're making decisions from like a spreadsheet.
Right.
That's very...
they don't see the day-to-day. They don't really know what's going on.
Right.
And so it makes it very hard. I mean, that is the disconnect a lot of times between having banks and a business.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and it's taken a while. I mean, I'm 45 years old, so I've gone through it a couple times, and now I'm not as naive as to how things work, right? But I definitely was.
Well, you're looking great for 45. Most attractive woman in Oklahoma City.
Just had a new baby not too long ago.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, we had a COVID baby, I guess you could call it. Ta-da! We're like, whoop. So, yeah, 5 kids.
Wow, 5 kids in the midst of all this development.
Yeah.
Now you got a built-in staff.
Pretty much, yeah.
So what are you doing next? What's the Urban Farmhouse days are behind as of now.
Yes.
May come back again. We don't know.
I mean, you never know. I will say, thank goodness, having a retail store in the middle of COVID, I think we might have dodged a bullet there. You know, I mean, gosh, it was really hard. Yeah, I can't imagine.
Sure.
What would happen at that point. But yeah, so basically I have, with Urban, we had a signature scent that we used to call the UFD signature scent, right? And of course, your
Urban Farmhouse Designs.
Sorry, Urban Farmhouse Designs,
For those
UFD.
that aren't in the club.
I apologize. But your senses, and that was something that my husband and I were very, very big on. We were creating an experience for people. And so when they walked in, we wanted them to be in awe. And it wasn't just visual, it was also with your scent. And so scent marketing has turned into a very, very big thing right now. A lot of stores, a lot of people are using that. You're even noticing diffusers and things in law offices and in different places. So it's not just for a business, but it's because it's such a big scent to us. I mean, you have your 5 main scents, right? Visual, and then your sniffer, your nose.
Which they say
is your
linked to your brain. It's like the shortest.
You even have a scent memory, and I will pour candles and do things, and I don't even smell it anymore because you develop a scent memory. But in real estate, it's really kind of taken off because you walk into this home and maybe it's furnished, maybe it's not, but you remember if it has this amazing scent. And so I have, a few builders that have bought diffusers from me, and they'll get the oil, and so they'll put it in their open homes, right? Sure. And never fails. They're just like, I have people, they remember that house. They might not remember all the other homes that they looked at that day, because people will go sometimes and look at 7 or 8 homes, but guess what? They remember that home. They remember what it looked like. They remember exactly what they saw when they walked in because of the scent. And people don't realize just how meaningful a scent is. I had a lady, not kidding, she called me on the phone yesterday, and it was because something got messed up in the mail. And so I said, I will get this fixed, and I'm going to send it to you. And she's like, how did you start this? Went into the whole Urban thing. And she goes, I can't believe it. She goes, this is fate. I can't believe I found you. She said, I am literally sitting here looking at my Urban Farmhouse candle that I refused to burn because I know I could never get it again. And she goes, I can't believe I found you. And she was just, it was so cute. She was so ecstatic. And she was the one that said, scent memory and scents are, she told me that as important as touch. So when you touch something, like your scent also is about the same. And she said, do you remember what perfume your mom used to wear?
Oh, wow.
And I said, absolutely. And she goes, well, there you go. So this is a 68-year-old lady, so sweet, but we're sitting there talking about scents and how meaningful and how you remember things, and memories throughout your life all have to do with scents. So it really is important to create that for people. And, especially in real estate, I think it really is a big deal. Like they tell you to go put some cookies in the oven really quick, so it smells good for an open house or whatever. It's kind of the same, same concept. But yeah, so I started up a candle company. I'll call it a fragrance company, if you will, because I do a lot of different things.
Yeah, I was going to say
a lot
of gift baskets that have. I love it's kind of
there's a platinum blonde.
Platinum blonde gift bag, which it's kind of a cylinder.
It's a cool box.
It's a super cool box, but it's circular. Which is I guess you can't call it a box at that point.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a
big round,
like a popcorn or something would be in it, not the tins, but it's that kind of experience.
Yeah. Well, I really enjoy the packaging side of it. Obviously, being a designer, that's the experience. That's what people love. Yeah. So I'm back to doing that. So when they receive their box, even down to the tape that goes onto the box, it says, "Oh my gosh, my Thomas Blonde is here." It's really cool.
Super
You get
cool.
to open it up, and I do a lot I different packaging.
Which I think as of the recording of this, it's like a $68 present box I think I saw on the website, which is perfect for a real estate gift. If an agent wants to gift somebody,
I actually have quite a few realtors that buy from me wholesale, and they give away.
Hey.
And they set up a wholesale account because we manufacture everything here. Nice. And so we wholesale out to lots. I mean, I've got places all over the United States that actually carry my product. But I have local realtors, and they come in and they give out candles or they do the gift box. I actually have had a couple that have bought my small diffusers. Now, these are bigger homes. These are multi-million-dollar homes that they're closing, right? So they want to give a little bit bigger gift.
Yeah, sure.
But
sure. I mean,
it's
somebody's spending a lot of money in your business, right? You want
to give them something nice, and the days are over of like just handing out a cup or something, goodie bags.
Now these diffusers, these are something, a lot of people have them on the table or but you've kind of come up with the hidden design, which is
you can hide them. Yeah. So I have some smaller ones. I actually have one that can do about 2,000 square feet. So normally you will see with there's Aroma 360. There's a lot of companies that do this now, and they have some small, sleek ones. However, they barely do 200-300 square feet. I mean, you're going to do a little tiny room, right? And so the small one that I have,
maybe a little massage room or something is what those
would be perfect for it. Yeah. This one can do up to 2,000 square feet.
Wow.
And
which covers
it is tiny.
Most of the house.
It covers a majority of it. Yeah. And so what I do is I actually have mine hidden behind a basket over in a couple different rooms. So I have two in my home. And that's what I do. I even have a little tiny fan going behind it just to help disperse the scent even more. I always, if I do fun little hacks like that, I always let people know. Sure. Like, grab a little fan from Amazon, and help it disperse the scent out if you want to. So
it sounds like, there's obviously everybody falls into a different category. There's the huge category, which is what we talked about, developing, right? Some of our listeners, they're coming in and spending $100 million here. Some of our folks are buying a $500,000 house.
Right.
And some may say, I'm not moving anytime soon. I'm in a rental. How can I develop my experience? And scent is a great way to do that.
Huge. Yeah.
You can change your space by bringing in these new scents and triggering these new memories that your guests can have when they come over to your house.
Absolutely.
Now, talk to me just a little bit about your research on your scents. Like how do you just go around smelling stuff and just kind of write down, what it smells like? Or
sometimes,
how does that work, Willy Wonka?
It's a mixture of things. So I will smell different things that I like, and I will actually send them to my scenting house. They're the ones that make all the oil. So I've got a lot of different things. I have oil for bath and body.
They reverse engineer the
They reverse
design.
engineer things.
No. Interesting.
I will literally send them a candle. I can send them body wash. I can send them another perfume. I can send them all kinds of different
A dog.
things. Yeah. You want a wet dog smell? Let me send you a dog. So you would be surprised. I mean, they are chemists at heart. They've got machines that they put stuff in. And a lot of times they'll send something back. I'll smell it. I'm like, no, I want to add a little more of this or a little more of that. And so, it is a process, and it can sometimes take 6 to 9 months to even develop something new. Obviously, I started Thomas Blonde with a signature scent that I already had because I had such a big following. So that signature scent is called Blonde. So now it is called Blonde. So anyone that used to know Urban Farmhouse and love that scent, it is now called Blonde. But I have 7 different scents.
Urban Farmhouse signature scent was the name of the scent that we used to see through the windows. They would make
at our little candle shop
at the lumber yard.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There would be benches there.
Yeah. And you could sit there and watch them pour candles.
Yeah.
And
so that was the signature scent, and that's now become Blonde.
It's now become Blonde, right?
Which you can find at thomasblonde.com. Beautiful logo you've created there, kind of a white and bright theme.
It's white and gold, very simple, sophisticated. I really got to the point to where I was kind of sick of having, gold and green and all these crazy colors. I'm like, I just want something simple that can go in any home. So whether you have a cabin or a lake house, it doesn't matter. It can go really wherever.
Well, thanks for coming on the show today. We've covered some great topics.
Appreciate it.
So on the horizon, new fragrances coming out. Do you have anything new that you want?
I'm actually working on, a couple scents right now. I just sent it out to the scenting house. Of course, I have to come up with a new name and all kinds of things.
Yep.
Yeah. So
maybe you'll do a little quiz out there for folks to pick the name. Maybe narrow down the top
that'd be a lot of
2
fun.
or 3 names, and you guys get to participate in the new name.
Absolutely.
So, tell us how they can get a hold of you, how they can consume your product, and kind of connect with your new movement here.
So we have a retail site. It's thomasblonde.com. We also wholesale. So if you've got a store and you're interested possibly in wholesaling, you can email me at info@thomasblonde.com, and I can get you set up and we'll go from there. Yeah. And check us out on social media. It's Thomas Blonde Official. You'll find us there all over.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to episode 121 of the Oklahoma Real Estate Show. If you're thinking about buying or selling in Oklahoma City or the surrounding area, there is a link below to begin. If you've got some ugly ducklings in your portfolio and you need to sell them, I am the agent for you. You can get in touch with me in the description down below or visit oklahomarealestateshow.com.